In a quiet African village called Kawanga, where the red earth met green fields and the wind carried the smell of wet soil, lived a man named Temba. Temba was 36 years old, unmarried, and known by everyone as a man who worked harder than the sun itself. He had no wife, no children, and no one waiting for him at home, only his small clay house, his cooking pot, and his wide fields near the Lufra River. Those fields were his life. Every morning before the rooster finished its second call, Temba was already awake. He would wash his face with cold water, tie his worn boots, and walk down the narrow path that led to his land. The river flowed quietly beside his fields, sometimes friendly, sometimes dangerous, but always beautiful. Temba often said, "As long as the river is here, I will never starve." That year, the rains came heavier than anyone remembered. For 3 days and 3 nights, the sky did not rest. Rain beat on rooftops like drums in a festival, and the river began to grow wide and restless. Villagers stayed inside, whispering prayers and hoping their homes would survive. Temba lay awake on his mat, listening to the water and thinking about his crops. On the 4th morning, before the sun fully rose, he stood up with a heavy heart. "I must go and see my fields," he said to himself. He walked quickly, his feet sinking into wet soil. When he reached the edge of his land, his heart tightened. The river had flooded, and water had crept into the corners of his fields. The young crops were shaking in the current, some already bent low, some fighting to stand. Temba sighed deeply. "I work so hard for you," he whispered to the plants. "Please, hold on." He took off his shirt, placed it on a rock, and stepped into the water. It was cold, but he was strong. He swam toward the flooded corner, trying to see how bad the damage was and whether he could clear some blocked channels to let the water escape. As he moved farther from the shore, the world became quiet, only the sound of water and his own breathing. Then he saw something. Far away, beneath the surface, something big and strange moved. At first, Temba thought it was a fallen tree. Then he thought it might be a large fish or even a crocodile. His heart started to beat fast. The shape shifted, smooth and slow, and then rose slightly, catching the light of the morning sun. Temba froze. "What is that?" he whispered. The thing moved closer. The water around it shimmered. And then, suddenly, it rose from the river like a dream. It was a woman, but not like any woman Temba had ever seen. Her skin shone like wet stone under sunlight. Her hair flowed like dark water. Her eyes were calm and deep, like the river itself. From the waist down, her body moved with the grace of water, as if the river and her were one. Temba's breath caught in his chest. A water spirit," he said, fear crawling up his spine. He turned to swim away. But her voice stopped him. "Don't run," she said gently. "I don't want to harm you. I want to speak to you." Her voice was soft, but it carried across the water like a song. Temba hesitated. His arms were already tired, his heart pounding. Slowly, carefully, he turned back. "What do you want from me?" he asked, his voice shaking. She looked at him for a long moment, as if reading his life the way one reads lines in the sand. "I have watched you," she said. "Day after day. Season after season. You come before sunrise. You leave after sunset. You talk to your fields as if they are your children. You work when others rest. You hope when others complain." Temba swallowed. "That is just my life." She moved a little closer, the water barely rippling around her. "You are a good man," she said. "And a hard-working one. You are alone, though you do not say it. Temba looked away. He did not like how true that sounded. Then she said the words that changed everything, "Can I be your wife?" The river seemed to go silent. Temba stared at her, thinking he had heard wrong. Your wife. Yes, she said calmly. I will take care of your fields. I will cook for you. I will make your home bigger and warmer. And we will have children together, who will run between the river and the land. You will not be alone anymore. Temba's heart was a storm. You are not human, he said carefully. She smiled, and there was both sadness and hope in that smile. The river is my home, yes. But I can live on land. I can live with you. I only ask for honesty, respect, and that you never forget where I come from. Temba thought of his empty house. His long evenings. His silent meals. His hard work with no one to share it with. And my fields, he asked. They will never suffer again, she said. Where I walk, water obeys. Where I touch, the land remembers how to grow. The river breeze passed between them. Temba closed his eyes for a moment. He had always believed life was only sweat and survival. But now, standing in the flooded field, speaking to a being from the river, he felt something else: possibility. Slowly, he nodded. If you truly mean no harm, and if you truly wish to build a life with me, then yes. You may be my wife. Her eyes softened. Then we will walk this life together, Temba of Kawanga. The water slowly lowered around them, as if listening. That day, Temba returned to the village not as a man who had lost part of his fields but as a man who had found a future he never imagined. And from that morning on, the people of Kawanga would whisper and wonder how Temba's land stayed green even in the harshest seasons, and why, sometimes, at dawn, the river seemed to smile.